Hello friends and welcome into NFL Daily. I am your host Tom Downey. We have some unfortunate news around the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger, his season is over. He needs surgery on his right elbow to repair a UCL injury, aka this is probably going to end up being Tommy John surgery. Big Ben suffered this injury in the second quarter of the Week 2 loss to the Seattle Seahawks. And now his season is over. He will not return. He has to miss the rest of the year with this injury. It's a pretty big loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe Big Ben isn't the same guy he was in his prime. He is 37 years old at this point. But Roethlisberger was still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and a huge reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers have been so good for as long as they've been under head coach Mike Tomlin. So with Big Ben now out, Pittsburgh is suddenly very, very thin at the quarterback position. They have Mason Rudolph on the active roster, and that's it. There's nobody else, for now at least, on that 53-man roster. Of course, that will change. We'll break down 5 replacements here the Steelers could add to help back up Mason at the quarterback spot because they traded away Joshua Dobbs last week. Maybe now they wish they had him. So Rudolph is now going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think there's really any debate there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Rudolph is the guy. They spent a third-round pick on him not that long ago out of Oklahoma State, and for where he had to come into the game, he actually played pretty well. No, he was not quite perfect, but he was 12 of 19 for 112 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. And the good news is, at least for Pittsburgh, you still have playmakers around him. You have Juju Smith-Schuster. You have James Conner, who also is getting his own little injury checkup as well. You have Vance McDonald, who Rudolph, by the way, actually liked quite a bit against the Seattle Seahawks. You have his old teammate, James Washington. Maybe that ups his level a little bit there. This is mostly for you Steelers fans out there, but if you're not a Steelers fan, of course, chime in as well. What is your confidence level right now in Mason Rudolph? Rate it for me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you think Mason Rudolph is a bum and that you would be a better quarterback, and 10 means you're associate producer Dylan and you're just an Oklahoma State homer and you think Mason Rudolph is the second coming of Joe Montana. Let me know what you guys think there in the comments section. Grade it for me on a scale of 1 to 10. But as we mentioned, we are going to take a look here at quarterbacks Pittsburgh could add to the active roster. Again, I will emphasize, not to be the starter, but you can't have one quarterback on your 53-man roster. They have to sign somebody to replace Big Ben on that active roster. Here are some other names I considered because they're really not that great. Kevin Hogan, okay, he's bounced around the league. Mike White, Cowboys fans know him, he's not good. The old Brock Osweiler, Brock Lobster, maybe he could get another shot in the NFL. Cardell Jones, a little bit younger, but he's not the truth, unfortunately. He, right now, by the way, is on the Seahawks practice squad. And another long-term, just journeyman veteran in Tom Savage. Now, if you guys like betting on the NFL, head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFL120 for a 120% deposit bonus. What that means is you put down $50, they're going to give you $60 for free. You can bet on all kinds of games, including, of course, Monday Night Football. The Browns are a 6.5-point favorite over the New York Jets. But if you were like me and you already had BetDSI, you got it on the Browns before Sam Darnold was declared out with mono, and you're feeling pretty good about those odds. I got it in around 2.5 there. A pretty significant change there for Cleveland once Sam Darnold was declared out. So again, go bet on the NFL, chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL120. So with Big Ben out for the season, let's take a look at my top 5 replacements, and there is a couple of very obvious ones that we will get to, but until then, here are some of the more notable names. Number 5, that's Paxton Lynch. I know, guys, it's bad, all right? There aren't good quarterbacks out there, because if they were good, given the dearth of reliable backups around the NFL, they'd be on an active roster. Go figure, right? Now, Lynch did not make the Seahawks' final roster, and I don't know how else to describe it, but the former first-round pick has just been a bust. He's been bad. He has not lived up at all to expectations. He has not been close to the player Denver thought they were going to get. But in the preseason, he actually looked okay. And he's still only 25 years old, so maybe things could work out in the end if he gets a shot with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, perhaps you're throwing out the name like Colin Kaepernick, because, of course, here's the thing, though, guys. At this point, even though he was blackballed by the NFL and should have been signed, he's not coming back. It's been too long. His age, having been away from the NFL for this long of a period of time, he's not going to come back. So which quarterback is more likely to ever play again? Give me a K for Kaepernick or an L for Luck. I've already seen it on Twitter. Some crazy people have said, well, what about Andrew Luck? On Andrew Luck, for starters, A, this is about the backups, not the long-term replacement. We'll do that later on in a couple of weeks here because I don't know if Big Ben ever plays again, guys. I don't think he's going to play. That's a big deal there. But for Luck, the Colts are not going to say, yeah, sure, go to our division rival weeks after you retired. Just not going to happen. Or not the division rival, the AFC rival, excuse me. All right, number 4, Jeff Driskel of the Cincinnati Bengals. Remember, the Bengals do play Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks here, I guess 2 weeks from now, if you include the Sunday and all that jazz. He was waived by the Bengals on September 11th with an injury settlement, and he worked out for the Lions this past week. He started 5 games for the Bengals last year, and he wasn't great. The issue with Jeff Driskel is nice athlete, but he can't really throw the ball consistently enough. Those numbers you see right there, sub 60% completion percentage, 1,000 yards, 6 TDs, 2 interceptions, this came in 5 games. As starts, by the way, there were other games which he entered as a backup. That's not going to go over very well. Speaking of the Bengals, though, here's his next 5 weeks. At the Niners, versus the Bengals and the Ravens, at the Chargers, and then a bye week as well. That's not the easiest schedule. Niners coming off a big win over the Bengals. The Bengals are not good at football right now. But Ravens and Chargers, it's not great. Pittsburgh's already 0-2. Be a bit of a rough start to the season for the Steelers. But maybe you bring in the former Bengals backup to get some added insight just to ensure you get a win if you're Pittsburgh. Number 3, another kind of already journeyman quarterback. That's Cody Kessler, who remains pretty young, but he has bounced around. He's been with, of course, the Browns, been with the Jags, and then the Eagles most recently. Was with them for the preseason, got a concussion, didn't return that much, and then didn't, of course, make the final roster. The career stats aren't that bad. I think he's better than Jeff Driskel, but if the answer to your question is Cody Kessler, either you're asking the wrong question or you really don't have any good answers out there. Now, speaking of Big Ben here, and I kind of teased this earlier, is Ben going to play in the 2020 season? Let me know in the comments. Why for yes and for no? Big Ben, as I'm sure everyone, especially you Steelers fans out there know, he has floated the idea of retirement before. Now he's got surgery for a UCL injury, which is probably going to be Tommy John surgery. That is not an easy rehab, not as severe for a football player as it is a baseball player. But he's 37 years old now. He's going to be 38. Does he want to rehab through all of that to come back and play another year or two? I think there's a really good chance, folks, that this is the last we have seen of Mr. Ben Roethlisberger. All right, number 2, a name familiar for Steelers fans and probably a name you guys don't like that much. I never liked him, at least for myself here. That's Landry Jones. He, of course, played for Pittsburgh from 2013 to 2017. And if you're looking for a backup quarterback, what you want is somebody who knows the offense, knows the scheme, has familiarity there, and can come in quickly, and God forbid Mason gets hurt, you have somebody that can at least step in for the time being. Of course, if Mason goes down, season's over anyway. But Jones fits that mold. He knows the offense, has familiarity there. Now, he did sign a contract with the XFL. I think the XFL would let him out for the time being since they haven't even started their league yet. Although, Landry Jones isn't that good of a quarterback. That's the reality there. But number 1, and I feel very confident this will be the move the Pittsburgh Steelers make, Devlin Hodges. He is not a household name to anyone who is not a Steelers fan. He is currently on their practice squad, spent the preseason with him, and then was only added to the practice squad on September 10th. So he's been there, at least with the team since the season began, for less than a week, but he spent the preseason, so he knows the offense there. I think he gets the call to the active roster here. So good for Hodges. He was not on my radar entering this last year's NFL draft. He was a UDFA out of Samford. But here he is, impressed enough in the preseason to get the call to the practice squad, and now is the likely option here for Pittsburgh, at least for now, to get a second quarterback on the 53-man roster with Big Ben out for the season. So let me know in the comments section, guys, if you ran the Pittsburgh Steelers, who would you sign to promote to the active roster or just sign to the active roster here to get him on the 53-man roster? Because you got to replace Big Ben, not as a starter. That's going to be Mason Rudolph, but you got to get him as a new backup. So let me know in the comments section who you want on the new Steelers 53-man roster.